Hey guys, it's me. I've been trying to build more content on here lately. I've still got the shop shut right down due to all of this coronavirus nonsense, and I've stayed pretty safe doing that. So it's given me a lot more time to start going through a lot of this stuff because there's piles and piles and piles of it. Previous to now, I up till about a year ago, I was sending all of this stuff into some of the different processors, and I don't want to give a lot of names. There were two mail-in services I was using a lot of, and then I thought maybe I would try this myself, so I did a lot of studying on this subject. And so when I'm talking about e-waste, a lot of it I haven't done yet. You guys may be learning right along with me, as I may know a lot of theory about this, but I haven't done a lot of it. So the last video that you will have seen is actually still in production right now, and that is with the gold pins coming out of the connectors. In fact, that noise over there is the rock tumbler. But aside from that video, and I'll post this a day or two after that, I thought we would start looking to see if I can get some gold bond wires. Now, I didn't want to screw something up. So we know that we have different kinds of chips, from these low-grade, huge, big old dip-style packaging that are kind of low quality, to, we can get into these epoxy top ones. I don't have enough experience that I'm not yet comfortable with trying on those. Because if I lose some gold, in some process that I don't understand or haven't done yet, I would hate for that to happen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna learn, but I'm gonna learn on an even probably more low quality product. So as we discussed in the e-waste group, sometimes there's different styles of packaging. And sometimes you see these little guys like this. They've got that D shape on the top, and they might be marked on your board as an integrated circuit or an IC on the board. They might be marked with the letter Q, or they might even be marked with the letter D or some different things. Sometimes they're transistors or different stuff, but this, my understanding is there's a potential for some bond wires in these sometimes, not always. So I'm going to try with them. I've got some of those, and then another thing is that are often thrown away, and these usually come off lower grade boards for me, but I get things like this, and great big old things like this, and things like this, and some of these may have bond wires. Most of the stuff in this bucket, most of this stuff should have a fair bit of copper heat sinks. So per pound on these, I'm hoping that that I, we'll weigh what I put in or something one of these times. Right now we're just gonna see if it works. But I'm curious to see how much copper actually comes back out of these. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with those pin connectors. I'm gonna take all of these low grade, low potential chips, transistors, and power package thingies. I'm gonna go stick them in that paint can. I'm gonna get the fire going again. I'm gonna let them scorch up, and I'm gonna try to get them that that rock tumbler that I bought is a 2-drum tumbler, and those pins are going in the ones, so if it's on, it might as well be doing both, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and scorch these low grade ones, and I'm thinking that the plan is gonna be where I will I'll do that, and then I'll pop back on. I'll let you see how that turned out before they go in the tumbler, or when they come out of the tumbler. And then I'll probably record myself sifting them out. we'll be able to catch the copper heat sinks and the copper and tin legs up here. And we should, around the 100 mesh line, I think is what I saw discussed. Below that, or right around there, is where we'll start seeing the potential for some gold wires. And if that happens, then I will make some sort of a makeshift sluice. And I've got some plans for that, but that'll be a whole different video. So one thing at a time. I'm going to throw this stuff in the bucket. And there's some kind of junk in here. I don't know what some of this is. There's like some papers. Stuff kind of flies in here sometimes. Like what good would this have done me? Like, made it in the wrong bucket. I don't even know what this is. So that can go in that bucket. You know, there's a big old resistor in there. We'll pull that apart later for. It's a whole different subject right there. But, okay. So we're gonna. No, there really is awful lot of stuff in here. I guess I could sort it later. All right, we're just gonna dump it in. I missed a couple. We'll throw these in. Look, there's a nail in there. We don't need that in there. And then I was gonna stick these ones in. There's not very much of these. Yeah, I know. I'm only doing. Oh God. I didn't weigh that can first, so that can couldn't have been a whole lot of weight. But I'm trying to get an idea. We'll do it. Hang on. 2 pounds, 2 ounces. Let me dump that back in the big bucket real fast. Hold on. Okay. Okay, it weighs 10 ounces, but I think we can go to ounces, and then we can. I just am curious how much material I have. It's gonna be. Alright. Okay. Here we go. So we are doing 23 ounces, or about 1.5 pounds is going in here. And so now we know a baseline to see how much percent of that comes off as heat sinks, look, yuck. And then how much of that, so how much we'll get as copper. And then if we find any gold bond wires, which is what I'm actually after, but we'll call it a day for now, and we'll see what it looks like after it's burned. Okay, so it's a little bit later in the same day. It's actually like 11 o'clock at night now, and I let those really low-grade chips sit in the fire for quite a while, and the fire went out, and they were kind of charred, but I wasn't satisfied with the amount. So I went ahead and lit another fire and let it go for another hour or so. And now they're pretty, I mean, we got a lot of ash and they're pretty well charred in here. So I see some chunks of heat sink and whatnot. So trying to pour this into one of these drums for the tumbler is almost impossible from the paint can. I found out earlier, which you probably maybe saw in the other video, that lip, it just doesn't work. So I'm gonna dump them into this bigger bucket, which is easier to pour into the thing. And get this open while I'm talking. So there we go, maybe. So we're just going to put all of that stuff in here, and I thought about it as far as, you know, you should put probably some ball bearings in here to mill them around, but this stuff is heavy and it's got some really heavy heat sinks in there, and I don't even know if it's going to be necessary. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open this up, get it in here, and I'm not even gonna put the ball bearings in. I'm just gonna see if it will mill itself under the weight of the copper heat sinks that were inside of the chips. And we'll see tomorrow morning. We'll come back, and I won't be up here till 9 or 10 in the morning, so that's almost 12 hours. And we'll see how far we've gotten by then. And that will be pretty nice. God, these are really in here tight the first time. I had the same problem with the other drum. There we go. Okay, empty drum. Going to make some noise real fast. I'm going to dump all of this in here. It's going to make some nasty smell again, but everything's finally cleared off. Everything's in here. I think I pretty much got... It's probably good for my phone, right? But I know a guy, so it's okay. Okay, all right, it's all in there. Now, let's see if we can... I'm gonna set this phone down for a minute and see what we get. Okay, so everything's in here now, and it's pretty heavy, so it really should mill itself under that weight. I mean, there's 1.5 pounds in this little thing, and there's going to be a good bit of copper in there when we're done. I can already see a couple, so I'm kind of excited. If I had known before how much... Mind you, I'm not after the copper, but I used to just throw this stuff away, so, you know, you have to think from my perspective, from a guy that started off scrapping, and I didn't start off in e-waste. I would have normally thrown 1 pound of these into the tin, and I would have gotten 5 to 10 cents a pound depending on the market. Now, if my pound of these turns out to yield almost all number 2 copper, I'll get $2 for that pound instead of 10 cents, and that's an incredible markup considering what I would normally have thrown them away, essentially, for a dime. That's a good markup. And then, once we get that sorted, then we'll look for some bond wires. Remember though that this stuff was the really low quality, oh God, it was the really low quality one. So on this bundle I'm expecting to probably find almost no gold, but we'll see. Okay, let's close this up and we'll go throw it over there. And we'll come back in the morning and see what we got. So there's the ICs, and these are the pins from the other video. So we'll see how that works. Okay guys, final video for the day for my side. I've been doing this solid for like 2 days. Okay. We talked about those low-grade chips. This is the second part of the video. They were incinerated. They were milled overnight. I did not use any ball bearings in there. I just put them right in and let them run and crumble on their own weight. And it appears that it did a great job. So we've got the stacky thing. Now this is a little bit different than the last video wherein we were after the pins. And by the way, I mixed those recovered pins in with my hand-picked pins. Right? Those, well, it'll work, won't it? So, anyways, in that, we were sorting to get only the pins. And this we were looking for the opposite. So, in this stack, we start and progressively get smaller, which will weed out our trash. We are not interested in anything that gets caught in those. What we want is what makes it all the way to the bottom. What makes it all the way to the bottom will be very fine powder, and in there is going to be our gold bond wires. Now, I used a very, very low yield material, so I expect that there's probably not going to be much at all, but we're not even going to know that in this video because I've got to go and buy some stuff to make a sluice. So right now we're just going to see what happened from the material. And I say we're not interested in anything that gets caught here, and that's not necessarily true because, like I said, there was a lot of copper heat sinks in there. So if we're doing it, we might as well save the copper heat sinks and scrap those because copper can vary from $2 to $3 a pound depending on where you're at. So we're just gonna pour this in now. I feel like I should mention that my bottom screen here is only a 60 mesh, and my understanding is that it's recommended to do this with a 100 mesh, and I've only got a 60 handy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run these chips to get them out of my way. I'm gonna take the material from this and I'm gonna put it in a baggie for now, and then when I get a bigger, a smaller screen, I'm gonna rerun that powder before we run the sluice. There's just a lot of stuff left in the container, so I gotta figure out how to get that out of the container. But as you can see, we've got, this one would be like an aluminum heat sink, but there is just tons and tons of, yeah, look, I didn't quite burn this one enough, but most of them, it appears that it did decently. As these are pretty much all little copper ingots, so like we did last time, I'm going to give it a good shake. And we'll start taking some of these off and looking to see what we've got. There's more. These are kind of dirty, but there's more copper ingots in this one, and lots of screws. And I'm just working my way down to see what I've got. Again, I'm mostly interested in the yeah, down here. So we got probably about the fourth screen down here is where it starts to really get a lot more powder. But the big chunks aren't what we want. We're going to keep going because we want everything good that we can get down here. That's what we're after. All right, let's look look and see. That's halfway gone through. So we're getting quite a bit of it further down. Alright, I'm going to start taking some screens off so that I can demo this. I don't want any powder to make it through, so I'm shaking them as I go. I've got to come back to this stuff. And when I get to this fourth one, I've got looks like some of the dies and things like that, and some copper legs. This, there we go. Going through, come on. So we're getting rid of a little bit at a time anyway. There's quite a bit of stuff that's, geez, in here that we don't want, huh? Oh yeah, there's some real fine stuff in the bottom. So, there you have it. There's some here. Oops. Some here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera and then shake the rest of that down in there. But, thanks for watching my experiment. It looks like I've made it this far. I'm going to go out and buy a culvert from probably Home Depot. I'll get it cut and I'll set up a little sluice. And we'll make another video of me probably, hopefully not losing any gold, right? So, if you like what you're seeing, click over here somewhere for the subscribe button. Thanks.